with Wytlabs, an e-commerce marketing agency. Today's guest is Ryan. Ryan, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know about yourself and your background.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Rosenthal. I'm the owner of Rome Design Agency. We help a lot of CPG and tech brands get their legs. We sculpt their vision and kind of develop their brand from there. And whether that's D2C for CPG brands or, social media, tech, we kind of fuse our philosophies so we can best approach the individual audience.
Awesome. What inspired you to create the brand?
So we created it in the midst of COVID. I was doing some physical creative co-working spaces and bringing in brands to that space. We were in Abbot Kinney on Abbot Kinney in Venice Beach, California. And I already had a design agency before that, but that was kind of the physical version of bringing it into a space. Then COVID hit and we wanted to best figure out ways that we could, help brands develop during the midst of COVID. So we really fine-tuned our practices specifically in the design agency region. And from there, we kept developing that. We worked with a company called Mudwater, which was kind of a unicorn D2C CPG brand. And so, that's a little top level view of what we do. And then now working with companies like Sprite.
Awesome. Well, who's your ideal target client? Kind of touching a little bit of them.
Yeah. So I'm personally selfishly into a lot of wellness stuff. So a lot of wellness brands I really love, but I really love working with clients that are willing to kind of stretch through the norm and get a little bit creative. To be noticed in this day and age, you have to be willing to be adaptive and flexible and honestly a little bit weird. You need to experiment with what is, I don't know if I resonate with shock value, but people that are interested in experimenting with new marketing techniques, new branding, and new vision that helps resonate with a bigger target audience and the ability to get more interesting in the marketing.
100%. So you're in a super competitive space. What makes you different or better than your competitors? You touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to a little bit of my background where I studied psychology at UCLA. I was training to, be in the world of psychology. So I was kind of obsessed with understanding human behavior, the mind, how people operate. And that bridged perfectly to building, apps, websites, and brands because I'm really diving into the nitty gritty of how someone might experience the website or the brand. So I think that's our differentiator is we're really in the weeds with you and really personifying what the brand could be, what the brand experience could be, how that shopping experience is, giving a little bit of surprise and delight when you're on the websites. So many websites these days have an element of staleness or have a lot of replicatable aspects. And so we try and go in and find what is truly unique and, expand upon that so that each and every customer that interacts with you has a very, memorable experience as they leave the platform. And it's more about that brand resonance to have that LTV increase rather than just creating a marketing funnel. Really, at the end of the day, personifying the brand and making it speak louder than any product may be. So,
100%. What are your most popular services?
So it's usually down to these main three: apps, websites, and branding. And they usually go hand in hand. So if it is a tech platform, it's more on the branding and app design. So doing UI, UX, but on the flip side, branding and doing websites and even social media stuff, because all of the digital touch points we found need to be very cohesive. And so we double down on making sure that every single element of the process, you're really feeling the same essence. So whether that's an email campaign, the app design itself, or the website, it should all live and breathe the same way. And so, that's kind of what we focus on.
100%. What's the future plan for yourself in Rome?
We hope to keep bringing in really fun clients that are really, changing the game right now. We're working with a lot of longevity companies in the evolving wellness space, but also working with record labels and people in the creative space. like I mentioned, like the Sprite contract. We're working with
Uh-huh.
Sprite and Universal Music Group, and we're kind of fusing in between the two, understanding what the artist needs are for their cover art and what Universal Music Group needs, and then what Sprite needs as like a brand sponsors. That's super fun. But anything that's truly new, or at least a proper remix, and that keeps it interesting for everyone, you know. And so health, wellness, CPG, D2C, direct to consumer is where I've really mastered the art of that. And so I think there's going to be a lot of new developing brands in this space, and so would love to, you know, help push the future gen of that.
Awesome, Ryan. So since starting the brand, I'm sure you've had some challenges as an entrepreneur. What are some challenges you've faced in the past few years, and how are you able to overcome them?
Yeah, I think even in the advertising space, you know, the ad world has definitely shifted and changed, and what catches people's eyes is a lot different than what it did, you know, 4 years ago. And so, you know, with a company like Mudwater, we're really focusing on this coffee alternative drink that helps people, you know, get off coffee and live, you know, a better lifestyle. That was really focused around quick, eye-catching benefit statements at the very beginning. Now the ads that really catch attention are like TikTok-centric ads. So when you're creating a holistic brand and brand experience, keeping continuity from an eye-catching, maybe not so branded material to then entering into that brand experience, I think is one of the biggest challenges. Is even though you want to create eye-catching content that grips in a new customer, how are you keeping that continuity through your whole brand experience so that they don't feel like they just got served this ad, got tricked into it, and then they might see this very good product, but if they feel tricked, how are you going to keep them coming in? So it's really about keeping continuity and authenticity through the creation process.
Fair. So, being a marketing agency, what are some activities you've done to promote your brand?
We are actually mostly word of mouth, which is, yeah, pretty contrarian to how we operate with our companies. But I've seen it, you know, I've done advertising and some marketing, but the best companies that we've worked with have all been word of mouth, where we do a really good job for someone and they are in the space of these entrepreneurs and they know that Rome and myself know how to really understand a brand, the overall directionality, how to overcome those challenges in the process. You know, I started in 2012 designing apps and brands, and so now it's been 12 years of really, you know, expanding upon that. So yeah, it's definitely a blend of things that we overcome, but yeah, it's always fun. I love an obstacle.
Great. What advice can you give someone that's looking to start it, not a marketing brand, but just a brand in general in 2024?
Yeah, so I think it's really down to the aspect of everything is a remix. You don't need to reinvent the wheel all times, but finding the best things to remix. Even this one client, which is a skincare brand that we're working with, they're super interested in a specific line of skincare, but obviously there's tons and tons of skincare brands in the world.
Yeah.
So it's really finding that unique niche that serves a subgroup of people, diving in on that, and then that process of personifying, finding the unique personality traits. You know, we do a practice of if you were at a party and your brand was one of the people at that party, how would they be? How would they talk? Who would they talk to? You can have the quiet, underspoken, philosophical guy in the corner. You can kind of have the loud, bubbly one getting the drinks at the bar. So it's all about like how does your company and brand really personify in this day and age? Because a lot of things get lost in social media and overall marketing, but what you can grip in on is your brand guidelines and really finding what are your walls and how you kind of find your path. So I think anyone developing a brand in this day and age, one, it's just really finding that niche set of people that you can really serve, getting your target audience very dialed, and then expanding upon that and creating those surprise and delight moments where your customers are trusting you, but there's always something more to learn.
Awesome. Is there anything that I haven't asked you would want our listeners to know?
I think for the brand creation process, just be authentic and really dive into what makes you uniquely you and let that speak through your brand. because I think that gets really lost. People end up playing the analysis paralysis competitor game where they're like, so X, Y, and Z companies are doing this, I should just copycat that. It's really about seeing what they're doing, taking it into your own hands and reinventing it for what you want to put into the world. Really being an aspect of change of what you want to see. And so if you're creating a brand, think about what your brand's impact will be 10 years from now, rather than how you're just going to turn the profit today. Because I think the true brands like a Nike or an Apple are really focused on these ever expansive elements of what these companies are. You don't think of the products when you think of Nike or Apple. You think about the vision, the essence, how they make you feel. And so I think if more people focus on that, and then obviously make sure that you're driving some money in, I'm way more into the long game of creating companies and brands rather than like the short flips, focusing on that being in a place of resonance for your customers, and you can only go up.
Awesome, Ryan. Well, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story, man. I thank you for your time today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Definitely.